Well, I'm following up on my Moses story. First of all, he was born, and he grows. He grows up into a man in Egypt, Goshen, Egypt. And he's a pet of the Pharaoh, and his mother is the Pharaoh's daughter. But he knows he's a Hebrew. He knows that part. So in Exodus chapter 2, starting with verse 11, it came to pass when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brothers and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So here, he's really offended, and he's upset that this Egyptian is beating up on a Hebrew, one of his brothers, a slave, who has no way to defend himself whatsoever. He's just a slave. He's chattel property to this Egyptian, do anything he wants. And Moses is offended and upset with it. So he looked this way and that way, and when he saw there was no man, he killed that Egyptian with his own hands and hid him in the sand. So Moses is a deliverer, but not quite the way God has in mind right now. He's killing people. So he went out the second day, and two men of the Hebrews, they were fighting each other and beating up on each other. And he said to him that did the right, why did you hit your fellow? Why did you hit him? And and he said, well, who made you a prince or a judge over us? This question stayed with Moses for a long time. Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is well known, what I did. I looked left, I looked right, there was nobody there, so I killed this guy that was offending us here. He deserved to be killed. These are his excuses. But now, he's busted. So, the Pharaoh heard about it, and he sought to kill Moses himself. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, and he dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Let me tell you something about this. Moses is going to stay in the deserts in Midian for 40 years. He was 40 years old when this happened. He is now going out to Midian, and he's going to dwell in the deserts for 40 years. Something is going to be alive in him all that time. He doesn't know how to deal with it. He sees the destruction. He sees the slavery and the bondage of his brothers, and there's something in him that wants to deal with it, but he can't now. Those days are past. I mean, he's getting old. He's almost 80 years old coming up. He's going to be there 40 years. But he never lost that thing in his heart that says, I want to free these people from their bondage somehow, but I'm one man. What can I do? And so he's on the sidelines. He's sequestered. He's in the middle of nowhere, a long ways away from all the action that's taking place there. And his wife, who was given to him by the priest of Midian, and the priest of Midian himself, Jethro, they are encouraging him to just settle down. Just enjoy your life. Just be quiet. Just listen. Those days are gone. They're not coming back. So just enjoy where you're at right now. But Moses couldn't shake it in his heart. He couldn't shake it in his heart. So he's watching sheep. He's learning how to be a shepherd with dumb sheep. Sheep are dumb. Did you know that? And he's got these dumb sheep that he is, tending and working with. 40 years. His son is a grown man by the time this is over, and he's an old man. He's 80 years old. He's a year older than I am. So anyway, part of the ways of God. You see, Moses wants to use a rod to destroy the enemy. He wants to kill him. He shouldn't be doing these things. I'll kill him. I'll set these people free by killing him. No, that's not what God does. God alone has the right and the authority to kill, not me. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. So if we're going to be free, how did that happen? If we can't defend ourselves somehow, and if we can't defend one another somehow, we're told in the scripture to let the oppressed go free. So if I'm living in the middle of an oppressed people, I'm not oppressed myself. I'm as free as a bird. But if I'm living in the middle of an oppressed people, how in the world do I free those people if I can't use a knife or a gun? If I can't kill or maim? How do I do that? So I'm sure that Moses had those same thoughts. He had a long time. You know, when you're tending sheep, kind of like being a pastor. I was a pastor of a small church for about 7 years. And I remember what I considered to be the inactivity. I felt like David sitting under a tree watching the sheep eat and then taking care of them and just obeying what was necessary there to help them to grow into the purpose of God that he has for them. But it was not a lot of activity. It was more watching and praying and adjusting and here and there. Of course, I spoke to the church and I ministered to them through the week, what have you. But you have to lead them gently and quietly. You can't just go in like a bulldozer. So that's what I was doing. We don't have control over men. We serve men. And so that's what Moses was learning out there in the desert. It's the ways of God. For Moses, it was not very comfortable, but it was profitable for the kingdom, and it was profitable for God, and it was profitable for Moses. So we'll continue this in a minute, okay? Bless you.